Kyle Boone has the Pistons taking Cade Cunningham in his latest mock draft, but this isn't your normal mock draft. This mock is all about upside. That's why you see a guy like Suggs, who has a high floor, down at 6. Players like Ziaire Williams at 8. That's a guy, he might not even be a first-round pick, but certainly has upside, and that's what Kyle Boone has done for us here 2 weeks out, and we're going to break it down with him right now. It's an upside mock. Kyle, thank you for joining us. Let's start near the top. We know Cade Cunningham's going to be the #1 pick. We know he's got the highest upside. We'll move on from that. Let's start with Jalen Green and Evan Mobley, and you have Green with higher upside. Why?
Yeah, this is a toss-up. Jalen Green and Evan Mobley, I think, are going to go 2 and 3 in some order in this draft. I lean the side of Jalen Green. Mobley's a 7-footer. I think he's a guy who's going to be a potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate in the NBA. He's really, really good, can be a defensive anchor, but I lean with Jalen Green. Look, I think he's going to be a natural scorer in the NBA. I think he's the best scorer in this draft, and long-term upside, I think he can be a scoring champion in the NBA. And I think that offensive skill set from the guard spot, the shot creation, I think it's just a slight edge over Evan Mobley. You're really splitting hairs between these two, but I think that just what he can do on offense, I signed with Jalen Green long-term.
You got those guys going 2 and 3, Green 2. Mobley 3. At 4, you have Scotty Barnes, and probably not going to happen. It seems like the top 4 are locked, and it seems like Jalen Suggs is going to be one of those top 4. But again, this mock draft from Kyle, all about upside. Why does Scotty Barnes, in your opinion, have more upside than Suggs?
He's a 6'8" combo forward. We'll start with that. Just the size alone, I think, makes him a chance to be a very good NBA player. He defended point guards at Florida State, he defended wings at Florida State, and he defended centers at Florida State. College players really don't do that. The defensive versatility that I think he's going to bring to the NBA level is going to be tremendous. Now, the shot is a real concern. He shot 27.5% from 3 last season. I think that's probably what's keeping him from being a lock to be a top 3 pick in this draft, but he's a gifted scorer. I think the passing is going to translate. He had a higher assist rate last season than Cade Cunningham and Jalen Suggs, 2 guys who are almost certainly going to be top 5 picks in this draft. So if the shot falls long-term, and I think that eventually it will, it doesn't look broken, we could look back in a few years and say, wow, Scotty Barnes, he went number 3 or 4 in this draft, and he's the best player from this draft.
Okay, we're continuing to move on with the upside mock draft from Kyle Boone, and let's get to Jalen Johnson, the one and done from Duke. You have him with the 7th best upside in the draft. Tell us more about him.
Yeah, this is a hard evaluation. He played in only 13 games at Duke last season, ended up leaving to go prepare for the draft, and in those games, he really struggled on offense in the half-court setting. Some of the limitations that he showed, shooting the ball was pretty exposed, and I think there's real concern with what the shot is going to look like at the NBA level. I think teams right now, based off what his game looks like, will be able to defend him kind of like Ben Simmons and say, you know, we'll dare you to shoot, we'll defend the pass, and we know that you don't have confidence with the jumper. That being said, he's a great passer. He's a 6'9" forward. He can grab the rebound, put the ball on the floor, and run transition. I think that versatile skill set on offense makes him a really high floor and a high ceiling guy in the NBA. So long term, I would love to bet on the upside. I know there's not a lot sample size wise that we've seen from him so far, but I think the skill set is obviously there, and long term, he has a high ceiling.
Right behind him, Ziaire Williams. It's a name that we know, a name that we heard all about going into his late teens and into college. You have him at 8, but this is a guy who might not even be a first-round pick, as you told us earlier. How high is the ceiling? How low is the floor? It seems like it's kind of a quagmire with him.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof, to steal a quote from Michael Jordan. He's a jumbo scoring wing. He reminds me a little bit of Michael Porter Jr. He measured 6'10" in shoes at the NBA Draft Combine. Now, Williams never really found his groove or his footing at Stanford. The team lived in hotels for a lot of the season. He had a death in the family and briefly left the team. So he really never was able to kind of establish what he could do at the college level. But amazing frame for a wing. He can create separation on his jumpers at a really high level. And he showed some flashes, even if it wasn't consistent at Stanford. I think if he's able to put some of those flashes together on a more consistent basis, we could be looking at a really high-level scoring wing in the NBA. And as we know, those are so valuable in the NBA.
Okay, now to Brandon Boston Jr. Is he a guy like Williams who might not even go first round?
Yep, he is. I'm betting on the pedigree here with Brandon Boston Jr. Coming into the season, he was a top 10 prospect. He's a former 5-star recruit. We know that he underwhelmed at Kentucky. The strength was a problem. He really needs to add some strength to his big frame. He needs to improve his decision making. He needs to improve some of the shot selection. But big body wings, again, going back to Zaire Williams, who can score like he can, I think are real difference makers. And if he hits in the NBA, he's going to be a difference maker. He's still only 19 years old. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick, but I'm not totally ready to give up on him yet. And obviously, I have him top 10 in terms of highest upside. So I'm still a believer in Brandon Boston and the talent overall.
Okay, let's jump outside the top 10 in this upside mock. Again, the draft is 2 weeks from tonight in Brooklyn. Let's talk about a Brooklyn kid, James Bouknight. You have him with the number 13 overall upside in this mock, and that's lower than some have him going in the draft. So is his upside a little bit lower than most are picking him to have right now?
Yeah, he's a natural scorer on the perimeter. He can create his own shot, but he's a really talented finisher around the bucket too. I have him number 5 on my own personal big board. So this pains me to have him this low on my upside mock, but he's not a great passer. He mostly looks to shoot. He's got a little bit of a slender frame, so I worry about how well he will be able to hold up on the defensive end of the floor. Look, I'm confident that James Bouknight is going to be a really good scorer in the NBA, and that's why I have him number 5 on my own personal big board. But what else can he bring to the table? I think that is a valid and legitimate question. If he's able to add some passing, if he's able to really hold up defensively, then we could be talking about a guy who's a top 10 player in this draft. But because those are such major concerns, I think, going into the draft, that's why I have him at number 13 here.
We're going back to a Gonzaga player now. You had Jalen Suggs, not even in your top 5 in upside. And now we get to Corey Kispert, and you barely have him as a first-round upsider right now, going number 29 to the Suns. Tell us more about what you think he projects to be.
Yeah, look, he's not going to fall to number 29 in the draft. I just want to make that clear. He's a borderline lottery guy, but I think he's the guy that you probably, if you're picking out of a lineup, he's the guy you least want to play in horse, just because he is a dead-eye shooter. He was 95th percentile in spot-up shooting last season. That's according to Synergy Sports. Shot 44% from the three-point line for a Gonzaga team that only lost 1 game all season, and that was in the national championship. But he's not a guy, again, going back to kind of what else can he do, he's not a guy who's going to be able to create his own shot. I think he's pretty limited in terms of what he can do initiating offense. He's going to be a very good role player, and I think that's why he's going to go around the lottery. But the other facets of his game are not quite developed, and I'm not entirely sure that he's going to be anything more than just a really, really good spot-up shooter in the NBA.
And you can make a lot of money doing that. Look what Kyle Korver has done over the years and decades now in the NBA. Kyle Boone has his full upside mock draft on CBSSports.com. This is a list of the lottery picks. One team has 2 top 10 picks. That would be the Magic, picking 5th and 8th. And the Golden State Warriors have a couple of lottery picks at 7 and 14, though it is believed that they would be looking and are looking to shop those picks around as they look to win right now.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.